My name is Pixie, and I'm from Ireland. My parents are the most controlling parents on the planet. But before I tell you my story, please like and subscribe to our amazing channel. Why are my parents so controlling, you ask? Well, when I was 8 years old, my parents carried me to the mall to get a pair of skates. While they were talking to the sales clerk, I saw this cute puppy at the store entrance. I went over and patted the puppy, but then it ran away from me. Being 8, of course, I chased the puppy. It was all fun and games till the puppy ran down some stairs and I followed. I tripped and tumbled down the stairs and must have blacked out for a few minutes because when I opened my eyes, a crowd of people had surrounded me. I looked around, and suddenly my parents burst through the crowd.
Oh, Pixie, are you okay?
Mom hugged me, but when I tried to get up, my ankle hurt. Ouch!
Let's get you to the hospital.
What Mom and Dad thought to be just a visit to the hospital to get my ankle checked out turned into a meeting with social services, who reported my parents for negligence. A judge sentenced them to 6 months of parental classes. My parents were furious. Now, at age 17, Mom and Dad still treated me like an 8-year-old kid. Something about them not wanting any of my bad decisions to reflect on them as parents. Today was the football game at school, and I really wanted to go, but of course, my controlling mother did not want me to go. I glared at Mom, who was basting a turkey on the kitchen counter. Mom, all of my friends are going to the football game. You can't keep me here forever.
I can keep you here till you're 18.
I grabbed the tray from Mom's hands and flung it to the ground. I hate it here. I stormed off to my bedroom and slammed the door behind me. I was totally tired of my parents telling me what to eat, what to wear, and what type of music to listen to. I wasn't even allowed to date. All I wanted to do was go to the game to see Sloan, the cutest boy in the entire school. Over the years, my parents didn't allow me to do anything, but through it all, I had my best friend, Heather, to confide in. So as usual, I gave her a call to complain about my parents.
You know, I've been crushing on Sloan for 3 years.
And I also know Sloan is out of your league.
Oh, really?
Girl, Sloan is the captain of the football team. He's at the top of the food chain at school, and you're forgetting one very important detail. Sloan has a girlfriend.
Minor details. I'll just break them up, and you'll help me.
Break them up?
Why not? People break up all the time.
Pixie, I'm not going to help you break up Sloan and Jana because you want dibs on Sloan.
Fine, I'll do it myself. I hung up on Heather. If she didn't want to help me, I'd find a way to do it myself. The next day at school, as I walked through the hall, Sloan and Jana walked by. I smiled at Sloan, and guess what? He smiled back. I was so into the moment that I didn't notice a group of boys coming out of the science lab with a huge papier-mâché volcano. I bumped into them and fell with a thud to the floor. If that wasn't embarrassing enough, the volcano fell on top of me and some of the goo from inside the volcano splashed into my eyes. I wiped my eyes, but it was still blurry when someone extended their hand to me and I took it.
Are you okay?
Was that Sloan? Thank you, Sloan. Laughter surrounded me and my face grew red.
As if, loser. Your knight in shining armor is Geeky Galvin.
I wiped my eyes again, and there stood Geeky Garvin with his acne-covered face, holding a few napkins towards me. I looked in Sloan's direction. Was that pity in his eyes? I felt as though my heart had broken into a million pieces. I covered my face with my hands and ran away.
Run, Pixie, run!
Another roar of laughter escaped the crowd. I ran into the bathroom and sat in one of the stalls. After a few minutes, the bathroom door opened and a group of girls came in chattering. It was Jana and her minions.
So, Jana, how was your date with Tegan? You went on a date with Sloan's best friend?
Of course. I did it and it was worth it. He's a much better kisser than Sloan, and he took me to the fanciest restaurant in town.
Don't you feel bad for doing that to Sloan?
No, should I? I'm the most popular girl in school. Why should I only date one guy?
Jana and her friends giggled. The bell rang and they left the bathroom. I knew what I needed to do. The next day, as I walked into the cafeteria, my eyes fell on Sloan and Jana. I sat a few tables away, but I kept my eyes on Jana. All I needed to do was catch Jana and Tegan in a compromising situation, and Sloan would be all mine. My chance came 15 minutes later when Jana kissed Sloan and walked out of the cafeteria. With my phone in hand, my heart pounded as I followed Jana, who disappeared under the bleachers. I tiptoed towards the bleachers, and there was Jonna making out with Tegan. I pressed record on my phone and began taping. They were so into each other that they didn't even see me. Suddenly, a ball slammed into the side of my head. Ouch! I fell to the ground and my phone fell from my hands. Tegan and Jonna turned and saw me.
What are you doing here, loser?
Jonna looked at the phone on the ground next to me.
Were you videoing us?
No, I wasn't videotaping anything. I grabbed my phone and stood up.
You little liar.
Jonna tried to grab my phone, but I ran. A few minutes later, I burst into the cafeteria breathless and sent the video to Sloane. I slid under a table just as Jonna and Tegan entered the cafeteria.
Where is she?
She scanned the cafeteria looking for me. I watched as Sloane checked his phone. He looked shocked, then angry, and I smiled smugly. I couldn't believe my plan was coming together.
Jana, what is this?
Sloane walked over to Jonna, and I got up from under the table and sat on a chair to get a better view.
What is it, Sloane?
Sloane shoved his phone into Jonna's hands. Jonna grimaced as she looked at the phone.
This? What is this? Are you trying to make me look like an idiot?
Jonna's eyes locked with mine, and I smiled.
Babe, it's not what it looks like.
Sloane walked over to Tegan.
And as for you,
I watched in horror as Sloane punched Tegan in the nose and Tegan doubled over.
Sloane, stop this!
Jonna then turned and pointed in my direction.
You! This is all your fault!
Jonna ran over to me and grabbed me before I could get through the cafeteria door. Chairs and tables crashed to the ground as both fights ensued.
Fight!
Suddenly, the cafeteria doors burst open, and Mr. Hickley marched into the cafeteria and pulled us all apart.
What in the world is going on here?
Mr. Hickley pulled Jonna and me apart, then Tegan and Sloane.
The four of you to my office, now.
Mr. Hickley gave us detention for a week. The next day, after detention, I waited until Sloane was alone before I approached him. Hi, Sloane.
Hi, Dixie.
Actually, it's Pixie. There was an awkward silence between us. Then I did it. Do you want to go on a date with me? Honestly, I expected him to say no, but I was over the moon with what he said next.
Sure, why not? There's a new restaurant I'd like to check out. I'll pick you up at 7 p.m. on Saturday.
That night as I lay in bed, I couldn't believe it. I, Pixie Ryan, had a date with the Sloane Walsh. Now, I had to find a way to go on the date without my parents finding out. On Saturday night, I lay under the covers when Mom walked into my bedroom.
Honey, I'm so sorry you're not feeling well. Uncle Thomas will surely miss you at his party tonight. Are you sure you don't want us to stay home with you?
No, I'll be okay. You and Uncle Thomas only see each other once a year. And someone has to beat Aunt Maggie at karaoke tonight. Mom laughed. She kissed me on the forehead.
Good night, Pixie. Call us if you need anything.
I will. Mom turned off the light and closed my bedroom door behind her. As soon as my parents drove off, I jumped out of bed and turned on the light. I removed my robe. Under it, I wore a cute black mini dress. If my parents saw me in a dress this short, they'd have my head. A few minutes later, the doorbell rang. I grabbed my purse and ran downstairs to open the door. When I opened it, there stood Sloane looking as handsome as ever with a bouquet of flowers in his hands.
You look beautiful. These are for you.
Sloane handed me the flowers. Thank you. They're beautiful.
Are you ready to get this date started?
Most definitely. Our first date was amazing. On the way to the restaurant, Sloane and I laughed and chatted as though we'd known each other our whole lives. At one point in the car, he even held my hand and kissed it as we drove. When we got to the restaurant, he pulled out my chair and even helped me order because the entire menu was in French. Sloane said his grandfather was from Paris and he visited him over the summer. After dinner, we drove to the beach and walked along the sand underneath the moonlight while holding hands. When Sloane walked me to my front door, I must admit that I was a bit nervous. Thank you. Tonight was perfect. I had a great time.
I had a great time as well. I'd like to take you out again if that's okay with you.
I'd like that. Sloane leaned over to kiss me. I was so nervous. Just as our lips were about to touch, the unimaginable happened. I let out the loudest, smelliest belch ever. I was mortified. Sloane looked at me blankly for a few seconds before he burst out laughing.
That was a good one.
I breathed a sigh of relief and couldn't help but laugh at myself. Sloane then pulled me into a kiss.
I'll see you at school on Monday. Enjoy the rest of your night.
I entered the house and raced towards my bedroom. I couldn't wait to tell Heather about my night. I called Heather a few times before she answered. I apologized for how I treated her and she forgave me. I told her all about my night.
So you really have Sloan. How do you feel?
I feel awesome. It's going to be a bit difficult hiding him from my parents, but he's worth it. Heather and I chatted for a while longer and then hung up. I couldn't wait to go back to school the following week. Monday morning when I arrived at school, Sloan stood by my locker and I smiled.
Hi, Pixie.
Hi, Sloan. Sloan leaned in and kissed me. When I opened my eyes, suddenly Jonna was there. Her hands were on her hips and she tapped her foot impatiently as her eyes bore straight into my soul.
Can I walk you to class?
I nodded and Sloan draped his arm around my shoulder. Throughout the day, Jonna found ways to make my day miserable. First, she spilled her smoothie on my clothes during the second period.
Oops.
Then after science, when I got to my locker, it was sealed shut.
Can't get your locker open, loser?
In math class, Mr. Johnson told Jonna to get rid of her gum, and guess where she got rid of it? Yup, you guessed it. She stuck it in my hair. I had to grab some scissors and cut it out. After lunch, the janitor left a bucket of dirty water in the hallway. Jonna snatched my bag from my shoulder and dangled it over the bucket.
Pixie, your bag looks a little dirty. Let me clean that up for you.
Jonna dumped my book bag in it while her chump friends laughed. That afternoon, I spoke to Sloan about it, and he said he'd take care of it. The next day, I saw Jonna and Sloan in a heated argument. When he approached me, he smiled.
You don't need to worry about Jana anymore. Let's just say her father works for my father, and I told her if she ever messed with you again, her father wouldn't have a job.
Thanks, babe. I kissed Sloan. Our relationship was great. It was a bit tricky at times having to sneak around, but I guess that was one thing that made it so much fun. The fact that I wasn't allowed to do it. But then, something happened that altered my future forever. It was the school's Halloween dance. Sloan was Batman and I was Catwoman. At the Halloween dance, we were having a great time. I went to get Sloan and I some drinks, but when I returned, Sloan was kissing someone dressed in the same costume that I was. Sloan! Sloan looked up in shock. I pulled the costume off from the mysterious Catwoman, and Jonna had the biggest smirk on her face.
I'm sorry, babe. I thought it was you.
Sloan, Jonna is a whole foot taller than I am. How could you not know it wasn't me? Just take me home.
I've got a better idea. Why don't we take you home?
My eyes widened. I turned slowly and came face to face with my very angry parents. Mom! Dad! What are you doing here?
You're asking us what we're doing here while you're in that tight leather outfit looking like a stripper? You're leaving now, and your father and I decided to send you to boarding school until your 21st birthday.
Jonna gave me a wave as Mom grabbed me by the arm and dragged me to the car as Dad followed behind. Mom and Dad pulled me out of school, and 2 days later, we were loading the car with my things to send me off to boarding school. As I packed my suitcase, in the back of the car, Heather walked up.
Hi, Pixie. I'm sorry that you have to leave.
So am I. I guess I deserve it. I shouldn't have meddled with Jonna and Sloan's relationship. Just then, Mom walked out of the house.
Hi, Heather. How are you? Pixie, honey, are you all packed? If we're going to catch our flight, we need to leave now.
I sighed and hugged Heather. I'll miss you.
I'll miss you too. I promise to write every day.
Heather and I pulled away, tears streaming down both our faces. Mom and Dad got into the car, and I hopped into the back seat. I rolled my window down. The car was about to roll off when Heather tapped the trunk of the car and Dad stopped. Heather ran to my window and hugged me. Then she whispered something that made my pores raise.
Pixie, one more thing before you go. I told your parents about you and Sloan. I was the one who sent them pictures of you at the Halloween dance. Jana was just the icing on the cake. Now that you're out of the picture, he's all mine.
Heather pulled away and Dad drove off. I was beyond shocked. My own best friend. She was the one who'd betrayed me? To say I was shocked was an understatement. Do you think I deserved what Heather did to me? Leave your answers in the comments below.
Hi, my name is Ashley, and I'm from Texas. My sister Jeannie and I are in our senior year. Jeannie and I love each other, but it all changed when my obsession with a boy got between us. Ashley, watch out! It's coming right at you! My best friend Holly shouted. I turned to see a giant raging bull charging right at our lemonade stand at the farmer's market. Before I could react, strong arms grabbed me and dragged me out of the way as the bull charged past me into a wooden fence.
Are you all right?
I opened my eyes at the unfamiliar voice. The most handsome boy I'd ever seen was staring down at me. "You saved me." He offered his hand and pulled me to my feet.
Oh my god, Ash! That beast almost killed you!
Holly interrupted us with her annoying high-pitched voice. Ugh, talk about bad timing. Not now, Holly. Couldn't she see I was talking to my Prince Charming? I turned to continue my conversation with him, but he was gone. I walked around the market, hoping to bump into him, but I never saw him again. A few days later, I left for summer camp, but I never forgot my mystery savior. Who was he? Want to know what happened and if I finally found him? Keep watching. When I got home from summer camp, Jeannie wouldn't shut up about her new boyfriend, Mark. She said that he was new in town and would be transferring to our school that year. We were getting off the school bus when she pointed at a fancy sports car in the parking lot.
Look, there he is!
The car door opened and you wouldn't believe who walked out. It was my Prince Charming. I dropped all my books and ran towards him. I threw my arms around him and almost tackled him to the ground. "I can't believe it's you! I've been looking all over for you." He looked confused for a minute before he finally recognized me. "You're the girl from the market." "Yes, my name is Ashley, and yours?"
Ashley? Mark? What's happening here?
Did Jeannie just call him Mark? Mark as in her boyfriend Mark? Please tell me this is a joke. How could you do this?
Do what?
As if you don't know. Mark is the guy I've been talking about all summer. You stole him from me. I'm sorry, what's going on? Ever since you saved me from that crazy bull, I haven't stopped thinking about you. I looked everywhere for you, but somehow Jeannie found you first and made you her boyfriend.
Ashley, I had no idea Mark was the same guy you've been looking for.
You have to believe me. Obviously, you have to break up with him.
Wait, what? Why?
Because knowing you're with him hurts my feelings.
What about my feelings?
I like him, you know, but I like him too.
Don't be ridiculous. You barely know him. I've been with him all summer.
We were making a scene, but I was too angry to care. Just then, Jeannie's phone rang. She answered and listened briefly, then turned to me. "We need to go back home now. Grandma is critically ill." Our grandma lived with us. She'd been in and out of hospital for months, and we knew she didn't have much time. We arrived home and went straight to her room. "Grandma, can you hear me? It's me, Jeannie." Although she didn't open her eyes, she lifted her bony hand and touched Jeannie's face.
"Oh, Jeannie, you always were my favorite grandchild. I have something for you. Please check under the bed."
I was hurt. Why wasn't I her favorite grandchild? Jeannie knelt next to the bed and pulled out a metal box. She opened it and took out a tiny glass bottle with brown liquid inside it.
"Grandma, what's this?" "Many years ago, a witch put a curse on all the women in our family, born and unborn. She cursed us to never find true love."
Grandma coughed for a few seconds, then continued.
"That bottle contains the only potion that can undo that curse. Take it and guard it when you find a boy you like. Drink it, then kiss him. He will have eyes only for you."
"But what about me? Don't you have a potion for me too?" Grandma didn't respond. She looked like she was fast asleep. But how? She was just talking a minute ago. I grabbed Grandma and started to shake her.
"Ashley, stop! You're hurting her!"
I was enraged. I knew Jeannie was going to use that potion on Mark. It's not fair! It's not fair! But I was too late. Grandma had already passed. A few days after Grandma's funeral, I was in my room when I saw something through my window. It was Jeannie, and she was climbing the huge tree in our backyard. Was she insane? I ran outside, and when I got to the tree, Jeannie was already high up on one of its branches. "What on earth are you doing?" I must have startled her because she slipped and almost came tumbling down. She gripped the tree branch, steadying herself. I was still looking up at her when something fell and hit my face. "Ouch, did you just throw a rock at me? I'm on a tree. Where could I get a rock up here? You tell me, you're the crazy one climbing a tree like a cat. You're the crazy one obsessed with my boyfriend." Jeannie was climbing down the tree, fast. I bent to pick the rock to throw it back at her, but it wasn't a rock. It was the tiny bottle with Grandma's potion inside it. Jeannie must have dropped it while trying to hide it in the tree. Obviously, she didn't trust me and was trying to hide it somewhere so I couldn't get it. My hands trembled slightly as I held it in my hands. "Give that back!" Jeannie was on the ground now and running towards me. This was it. I opened the bottle, closed my eyes, and gulped down the disgusting liquid. It tasted horrible, but I didn't care. I'd drink anything, including dirty dishwater, if it meant Mark would love me forever.
"No!"
Jeannie dived and snatched the bottle from my hands, but it was too late. She stared at the empty bottle and fell to her knees, sobbing. When the school bus arrived a few minutes later, I ran and got on it. I had a boy to kiss and make mine forever. I stood nervously in the school parking lot waiting for Mark. The moment I saw him getting out of his fancy car, I walked to him, put my arms around him, and kissed him. Ashley? Just then, we heard tires screeching. Mom's car was approaching us fast. It stopped right in front of us, missing us by a few inches. Jeannie stepped out, looking like she was ready to explode.
You kissed him, didn't you?
Jeannie pointed an accusing finger at me. There was no use lying now. So what if I did? It's too late. Mark is mine forever.
You're so evil.
Jeannie started to attack me, but what Mark said next scared us both.
Help me, please. I can't see.
Jeannie rushed to his side and waved a hand in front of his eyes.
Oh my God, Ashley, you blinded him.
What are you talking about? Mark turned to me and looked directly at me.
I don't understand. I can see you, Ashley, but I can't see Jeannie.
What was going on?
He will have eyes for only you.
Huh?
That's what Grandma said when she gave me that potion, remember?
In fact, those were her final words. I thought that meant he'd love only me. I never expected it to mean he'd become blind to everyone else. Literally. This was certainly not what I signed up for. I took a few steps back from Mark. I'm sorry, I have to go.
Please don't leave me, my sweet Ashley.
Why was he talking like that?
You're the only one I see. You're stuck with me forever, my sweet Ashley.
Oh dear, what had I done? So you can't see anything at all?
Nothing. Just you, my sweet Ashley.
So what do we do now?
You stay with me, of course. You and I can never be apart.
What about school?
You will pick me up every day.
But how will you read and write?
You'll do it for me, of course. We'll be together forever.
I was stuck with him all day. I wrote all his notes and carried his books to all his classes. I didn't know how much longer I could take it. Jeannie was ignoring me, and the one time I managed to talk to her, she called me selfish and evil. I drove him home. His parents were away, so he asked me to make dinner for him and walk his dog Peggy. It was getting late, so I told Mark I needed to leave, but he wouldn't let me go.
You can't leave me in this big house. What if I need something? Who will get it for me?
I called Jeannie and told her I'd be sleeping over at Mark's. She said, fine, then hung up on me. Mark and I settled on the couch. I put on a movie, but of course, he couldn't see it. After a few minutes, he said that he was bored.
Please stop watching the movie and entertain me.
I was about to protest, but I remembered that it was my fault he couldn't see the movie. Sure, tell me what you need me to do.
Well, since Peggy is asleep, I need you to bark like her.
Surely, he was joking. Are you serious?
Yes, Peggy's bark always soothes me. I need that right now. Being blind is really stressful, you know?
Again, I felt really guilty, so guess what I did? I started to bark like Mark's dog. I thought I saw Mark trying not to laugh, but he hid his face quickly. He made me bark for an hour. The following morning, getting Mark ready for school was so difficult. I made him breakfast, then he made me feed it to him. Then he asked me to clean the kitchen and his room. He also had a mountain of laundry, and he requested I do that too. By the time we got to school, I was exhausted. We walked into class, me looking like I hadn't slept in days, and Mark as handsome and clean as ever. He wore dark glasses, and that attracted a lot of curious glances. We were in history class when the door burst open and a woman ran straight to Mark. She hugged him tightly and started to cry so loudly. Oh my God, Mark, what happened? The principal just called us. You're blind? Why didn't you tell us?
It's fine, Mom. Ashley is taking care of me.
Come, I'm taking you to the hospital now. She took his hand and pulled him to his feet.
I don't need a hospital, Mom. I don't want to see anyone but Ashley for the rest of my life. I love her and she loves me.
Okay, that was enough. Well, about that, I'm not sure I love you, Mark. I thought I did, but I don't think I can do this. Sorry.
But you blinded me.
I looked around and saw the shock on everyone's face. I didn't mean to. I confessed to everything I did. From Grandma's tale to drinking the potion to kissing Mark so he could be mine and not Jeannie's. You selfish girl! My son is blind because of you! I'll gouge your eyes out! Mark's mom pounced on me. Mr. Clark, our history teacher, rushed to my aid and dragged her off me. That's when I heard it. Uncontrollable and hysterical laughter. I turned to see Mark laughing so hard he was literally rolling on the floor. And guess who else was laughing? Jeannie! I can't believe you fell for it. I don't understand. What's so funny? There's no such thing as a love potion. Grandma had dementia, and most of what she said made no sense. Whatever you drank was some herb she boiled years ago for her tummy problems. I watched as Mark took off his glasses. He was not blind. I was going to kill them both. You lied to me? Do you know the things he made me do for him? He made me bark like a dog. The whole class burst out laughing. Even Mr. Clark laughed. I hid my face in embarrassment. Well, this has been quite entertaining, but we need to get back to our seats now. Mrs. Perez, I'm sorry your son scared you. Kids are like that sometimes. Please go home. Your son is fine. Mark's mom smiled with relief and left. I went back to my seat and was overcome with sadness. Am I ever going to find a boyfriend like my sister has? I guess I'll have to wait and see. As for Mark, I'm done fighting for him.
Yes, you're right. Celebrities behave like that sometimes. It's totally normal for us. Hey, you there! Come here! I didn't turn around. Obviously, Michaela couldn't be referring to me like that, right? Hello? Brunette over there! I'm talking to you! I turned around because I was the only brunette in the makeup room. Me? Yes, you. Duh! We're just 3 here. Who else would I be referring to? In this room, we have 2 stars and then you, whoever you are. So who did you think I was referring to? Just shut up, okay? And don't ever take so long to respond to me again. Understood? I don't think you know. Silence! My sister looked shocked at first, but now she just looked amused. I guess she really enjoyed seeing me get humiliated like this. What else could I expect from Lily? Now, get us a couple of cups of coffee and a burger with no bread, cheese, or anything fattening in it. You mean a salad? Oh my God! Why can't you just be quiet, for Christ's sake? Just do what you're told already. Why do you keep talking back at me? Is this how personal assistants behave? Michaela turned to Lily as Lily powdered her face for the 100th time today. Lily, you should have her fired immediately. Lily giggled. If I could, I would have done that a long time ago. She giggled some more. Michaela, she's actually my... So sorry, Madame Michaela. I quickly interrupted her. Madame? Lily and Michaela asked, shocked. I will run out now and get you exactly what you need. I apologize for being bad-mouthed, and I hope you can forgive me. Lily, you don't have to explain anything to Michaela. Please be very quiet and let me do my job. Lola, you don't have to... It's fine, Madame. I'll be right back. Stop calling me Madame, you little twit. Hurry up and get out of here. I want my coffee hot and creamy. Lily looked like she was about to turn blue. Michaela, I think you may want to leave. I shot Lily a warning look. Not before I bring her order, Lily. Lily swallowed. Of course I'm not leaving without my coffee and burger, fool! Move! Michaela practically spat her words at me. I ran to the closest cafeteria and got a very sweet and creamy coffee and a double-sized burger with lots of mayo before running back to the makeup room to hand it to Michaela. Are you stupid? I said I wanted a really creamy coffee, not a really sugary one. And what the heck kind of burger is this? I don't eat bread, mayo, cheese, or chicken. What is wrong with you? Lily put her hands on her head. Oh, God. I walked as close to Michaela as possible. Actually, I didn't buy them so you could eat them. Then what did you buy it for, fool? I collected the coffee from her, then emptied it onto her head. I also started rubbing it around so it could spread all around her. I bought it so you could smell it. I rubbed and melted the cheese on her hands. Feel feel it. I massaged the remaining parts of the burger into her expensive star clothes and glittering skin, and have the full experience of enjoying a meal. Ah! Michaela erupted. Lily, I can't believe you will sit by and watch your personal assistant harass me like I'm some kind of commoner. What personal assistant? Lily shrugged. The only person in this room with us is my twin sister, Lola. What? Well, why didn't you tell me this before? I tried to. She looks like a peasant. I know, but that peasant is about to hard kick your butt if you don't leave now. Fine! Michaela screamed as she stormed out, pieces of thread dropping from her hair as she walked. We both giggled once she'd exited the room. I can't stand that girl. Yeah, me neither. These moments between me and my sister were extremely rare, so I cherished them. I'll get the cleaners. Thanks. Guys, do you think the punishment I gave to Michaela was too harsh? Tell me in the comments below. Michaela wasn't actually the first one to mistake me for my sister's personal assistant. I only reacted because she was so rude about it. Lily was my twin sister, but we looked nothing alike. She was born stunning, while I was born barely average. She excelled in the arts, and her beauty and talents were quickly recognized by outsiders. One thing led to another, and before we could comprehend exactly what was happening, our parents had signed a contract with a talent acting company. Shortly after that, Lily started appearing in movies and TV commercials, making our family's status move from middle class to high class quite quickly. I had talents too, but my parents didn't care to discover or help me grow them. I didn't have Lily's face of perfection, so I was stuck being her guinea pig instead of stepping into my own limelight. As we grew up, Lily kept getting even more famous, while I was kind of left on the sideline. The majority of people didn't even know that I existed. They were always shocked to find out that Lily had a twin sister, and then very eager to see me. But once they did, they were immediately disappointed. Are you sure she's really your twin sister? What if your parents adopted her and are just lying? Some people would ask. Like and subscribe if you feel bad for me. One day, my parents called me to the living room to discuss something important. I arrived, and Lily was also there, waiting for me. We have great news! An opportunity has opened up for you like never before. What's that? I asked, excited. Well, an agent passed by Lily's dressing room yesterday and heard you singing. She loved your voice and discussed with Lily about hiring you immediately. But you just stepped into the bathroom at that moment. Okay. Why didn't you tell me this yesterday, Lola? Duh. I had to speak with Mom and Dad first. Why? I'm 18 already, and I can make these decisions for myself. Enough! My dad interjected. We have accepted the agent's proposal, and you will start your practice sessions tomorrow. To my surprise, when we got to the studio, they hid me behind the curtains with some recording equipment whilst Lily represented me. What? I realized at this point that they wanted me to sing behind the scenes while Lily took all the glory. I couldn't believe it. So with all of Lily's fame and success, she couldn't let me have just this one thing? The one thing I had, singing. I left the curtains immediately and approached the agent, but I heard her talking with the other staff. This Lily girl was really gonna help our record label recover, right? She has the face for it. Good thing she's so good looking and already famous too. It'll reduce the work required from us. After hearing this, I knew that I couldn't tell the agent the truth. So I continued with my life, being Lily's guinea pig and lip-syncing for her while she stole all my glory. This continued for 2 years, and we got even more wealthy, but I was never appreciated for the money, even though my voice was the new source of our wealth, since Lily's acting and modeling career wasn't booming like before. One fateful day, Lily partnered with a beauty company to promote their products and become their brand ambassador. As usual, I was required to test the beauty company's products before Lily did, since we had the same skin type, to ensure that it'd be safe for Lily to use. I did this and started glowing 2 weeks into using the products, so Lily got excited and started using them, thereby stopping me from using them since she was very jealous to see me glow. Unfortunately, when Lily used them, she started breaking out on her face. At first, we all believed that the breakouts would disappear after a short while, but they didn't disappear. Instead, they intensified. Next thing, huge, irritating boils had filled Lily's face. We tried to use makeup to hide them, but the boils couldn't be hidden. Instead, they got worse with every layer of makeup that we applied. We tried everything, but Lily didn't get better. The dermatologist even said that it might take years for Lily's face to become pretty again. Lily began to lose endorsements since she couldn't appear at social gatherings, shows, and meetings. Our parents blamed me, saying that I set my sister up because I was jealous of her. This made me laugh because I was happy that treating me as a guinea pig or lab rat all these years had finally blown up in their faces. I didn't know what was in store for me, though. My parents were crazy people, and they were not going to lose money at any cost. So they decided to force me to do plastic surgery and become an exact replica of my sister. I refused at first, but then they threatened me with a lawsuit, saying that they were going to accuse me of working hand in hand with the beauty company to sabotage my sister's career. I pleaded and pleaded, but all my begging fell on deaf ears. They made up their minds. While consulting with the surgeon, I secretly asked him if there was a way to make this procedure temporary. He said there was, but that not everything would be temporary, though. He could get the face to melt off after a couple of years, but my nose and cheekbones would be permanently changed, unless I decided to do another surgery to revert the procedure. I agreed. It took 4 months in total for my face to completely heal from the surgery, and by this time, Lily's face was completely clear. It didn't take years like the dermatologist had previously said, just months. When I confronted the dermatologist, she simply shrugged. Well, what do you want me to do? I didn't tell you to go get surgery. My parents didn't need my help anymore, so they completely ignored me, knowing that I had just been forced to do a life-altering surgery just so I could help their income grow. I was hurt and fed up. I spoke with the music agent and record label that hired my sister, thinking it was me, and they agreed to work with me and clear my name. After all, I was beautiful now. I started the best phase of my life as a musician and moved out of my parents' house, taking my whole income with me. My parents kept warning me to come back home and share my income, but I refused. When they saw that their threats were no longer working on me, they called a reporter and exposed the truth of my face to him. I was sitting in my penthouse one morning when my assistant called my attention to what was showing on TV. I couldn't believe that my parents would do such a thing. Oh my God, is this true? I burst into tears. Yes, it's true. I told my assistant about my life experience living with my parents and how they forced me to do surgery just so they didn't lose any money. I can't believe they just exposed themselves on live TV. Wait, what? They exposed themselves as the villains, she said. Don't cry, Lola. Everyone's gonna support you. Believe me. You really think so? I know so. My assistant was right. The leaked information went viral, and suddenly the whole world was on my case. The hashtag #FreeLola went viral on all social media platforms. People started sharing their own experiences living with traumatic parents and how they survived. It was so bad that people started insulting and harassing my sister and parents in public places. Some even went as far as egging their homes and cars. My parents had to come online and beg people to forgive them, but no one agreed. They all said they wanted to hear from me first, because if I didn't forgive them yet, they wouldn't forgive me either. And if I refused to stand up for myself, then they'd stand up for me. The love and support made me cry like a newborn child. I'd never experienced it from anyone in my life. I decided to grant an interview to one of the most popular talk show hosts in the country. The whole country tuned in carefully because they were very interested in what I had to say. While sitting on the chair and getting questions thrown at me from different directions about my childhood and mental state, I burst into tears and thought I couldn't take it anymore. But my personal assistant signaled me from a hidden area on the stage, encouraging me to go on, telling me that I could do it. I regained courage and continued talking. I told them about my life from my teen years to adulthood, how my parents always ignored me and acted like I didn't exist. I told them how I had to live in my sister's shadow all through my life, even though I was just as talented. My parents hated me because I wasn't beautiful, so they just used me to test products that they thought might be harmful. I also told them about how Lily pretended to be me when the agent came to hire me, and how I had been singing behind the curtains while she lip-synced and took all my glory for 2 long years. By the time I finished my story, including how I was forced to do surgery and later ignored when I did it, the whole crowd was in tears, and people were sending me supporting messages from all around the country and world. My popularity and riches grew, while my sister and parents became poor because they weren't good money managers. I helped them out with money once in a while, but I ignored them most of the time because I wasn't obligated to do anything. 2 years passed quickly, and my face started melting just like the surgeon had said. I went back to him, and he fixed me up once again. Once I was healed, I looked at myself in the mirror, and Lily's face was finally gone. I was now staring back at the real Lola. The Lola I'd always been. I looked at myself, but I was different now. I had grown, and I was stronger. I was one of the most popular, richest, and award-winning musicians in the world. I was also extremely stunning with my new bone structure. Like and subscribe if you enjoyed the story. Bye!